Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Scorpio, Sun, Moon and Ascendant for the month of October. Hope you're all well. If the reading resonates, don't forget to subscribe, and there will be an extended at the end of this. So if you want to know a little bit more, we'll go a little bit deeper over at Vimeo. There'll be a link down in the description box, so check that out if you want to. If you feel so inclined. Right, let's have a look and see what's going on with you, Scorpio. I have 3 cards for Scorpio for October, please. Ooh, two fly out together there. Ooh, and they are 2 knights, which is intriguing. We've got the Knight of Earth and the Knight of Skies. That's Pentacles and Swords, respectively, there. It's quite interesting how the colours are carrying across in the 2. Let's get 2 more cards. Current energy for Scorpio, please. Ace of Swords. There. And what's coming towards Scorpio for October, please? Got the 3 of Cups in reverse. I do want to just point out that the 2 cards that flipped as I was shuffling there are the Knight of Fire, so another Knight, Knight of Wands, but also the Tower, which is a card that I strongly associate with Scorpio, even more so than Aries, to be honest, although they're both ruled by Mars. So that's interesting. At the bottom of the deck, we've got the 8 of Wands there, which is a card of Sagittarius, and usually it talks about swift incoming communication, and it absolutely does talk about that in this case, and given the number of swords that we've got already on the table, it would be remiss of me to suggest that it didn't. But I was thinking the Lost Forest deck, that this kind of smouldering ruin, it doesn't really speak of communication to me. It doesn't really speak of swift movement. It speaks of the aftermath of swift movement. So, let me just get some clarifiers for the cards that are out on the table, and then we'll take it from there, because these 2 knights are intriguing, being as they are at opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to speed. Tell me about the Knight of Earth and the Knight of Skies, please. Oof. I've got the 5 of Cups. We have 2 cards have fallen. We've got the 7 of Pentacles and the 10 of Wands in reverse. Okay, thrown some cards down here. Let's put those back in. And there. This is heavy energy, Scorpio. Actually, when I was doing a meditation, I got kind of a wave of nausea while I was doing it, right in this pit of my stomach. Tell me about the Ace of Swords, please. We have the Empress and the Hanged Man. I thought that might show its face. I saw it when I was shuffling the cards and it seemed quite there, you know. What about the 3 of Cups, please? Right, the 3 of Cups in reverse is clarified by the 8 of Wands in reverse. So that's twice now it's showing up on the table, upright and reversed. And the 9 of Pentacles. At the bottom of the deck, there you are, Scorpio, in Death. Followed by the Page of Swords and the 2 of Cups, the 3 of Swords and Temperance. Right, this looks like a process of healing, but more than that, it seems like a process of you getting some sort of insight into the way that you approach relationships, right? Something that you haven't had before, which is enabling you to heal something, right? I'm just going to go with that as a broad interpretation for now. I'm sure that it will become a little bit clearer once we start working through these. But Death, as well as being your card, is a card of transformation, right? Things coming in. I think it's interesting there's so much sword energy here, and I know the Scorpio has Mercury has just moved into Scorpio in preparation for the retrograde that will be coming up later this month. So it seems like there might be some transformation of either the way that you think or the way that you're expressing yourself to other people, or the way that you are thinking about particular things. Anywho, these 2 cards here are Interesting. Like I said, this is in your recent past, and we have 2 knights. And these knights, although the colours kind of run very similarly, there's a similarity of kind of atmosphere there. They do sit at opposite ends of the spectrum. The Knight of Earth is about that slow, methodical movement, right? And that's quite fastidious sort of behaviour, whereas the Knight of Swords is right at the opposite end. Right? It moves very, very fast, and it's sharp and incisive. It's Gemini and Virgo energy respectively. Right? Now, the Knight of Skies is often given to be a messenger of some description, because we've got that movement, right? And it could be a message that has come to you, it could be information that has come to you in some way, or it could be about the way that your mind is starting to think about things now, right? And the thing is, with these 2 cards coming up together, it feels conflicted, right? It feels like being pulled in one way or another. Now, Mars is in retrograde at the moment, and that is, you know, only happens once every 2 years, but it is absolutely associated with, you know, delays and frustration. You know, kind of where all that energy that you associate with Mars, you know, that drive forwards, is kind of stopped. You know, it doesn't make the energy go anywhere, but it gives you no outlet for it. So things become very frustrated, right? Sorry, completely zoned out there for a second. Actually, to the degree that I can't even remember what I was just talking about. There's a conflict here, and it feels like not exactly heart over head, but practicality over facing off against idealism, I guess. It's a very conflicted energy. It's kind of like what you should do and what you actually feel pulled to do. I hope that this is making sense. Now, it's clarified by 3 cards, which are all of fairly, you know, it's not a positive set of cards exactly. We've got the 5 of Cups, the 10 of Wands in reverse, and 7 of Pentacles. Now, we just run through these cards individually. The 5 of Cups is a card of Scorpio for a start, but it's one that speaks of grief, loss, rejection, potentially bitterness, potentially resentment, potentially guilt about a situation, right? But there's certainly a sense that something has been lost, and as yet it is not understood that something remains, right? Now remember that this is in your recent past, so it's a thing. The 10 of Wands in its upright would refer to the end of a difficult situation, the end of a burden in some way, right? Because 10's a completion. But this 10 has appeared in the reverse. Now, you know, reversals can be a block on this thing. It can mean the absolute opposite of the thing, or it can be a delay. For you, it feels a little bit like kind of holding yourself in the 5 of Cups situation, for whatever reason, is stopping you from putting down burdens. And for you, I do feel like they're kind of intellectual burdens. It's the way that your mind works, it's the way that you're thinking at the moment, right? It's almost like you're kind of clinging to the difficult way to do things. And then we've got this 7 of Pentacles here, which is my card of being dissatisfied with something in your status quo. Now, if you are experiencing such a level of conflict as it appears that you are between those 2 cards there, right, which is then underpinned by all of this thing, like not really wanting to let something go, because that is the thing with this, right? It's kind of, it's not exactly clinging to something, but it is so consumed by this thing over here that you neglect to see these 2 cups behind you, right? And it's interesting that we had the Two of Cups turn up here, and I said that I thought it referred to, you know, the way that you approach relationships in some way, if you recall, right? So at this point, it seems like there's still some level of, you know, preoccupation with what is gone, with what is lost, with what you don't have, as opposed to what it is that you do have. And this is stopping things from completing in a way that you would like, and leaving you feeling very burdened and dissatisfied indeed. Now, what I like about this reading is the fact that transformation does seem to be at hand for you in some way. Let's not forget that the death card is right at the bottom there, and these interesting set of cards that we've got here are flanked by death and temperance. That's literally the order that these two major arcana cards appear in the major arcana, right? Death is number 13, temperance is 14. It's almost like you have to go through this realization of perhaps the fact that you have broken your own heart in some way, perhaps with premeditated, you know, premeditated disappointments. I was going to say expectation, you know, which is premeditated disappointments. If things are not negotiated and spoken about in some way beforehand, if you just work on the assumption that something is the way that you think it is, you are setting yourself up for disaster. And it feels like there is here some realization of that. Now, this might be with romantic relationships potentially, but this might actually also be with just the way that you interact with the world at large, right? Two of Cups does not have to indicate a romantic relationship. It can be a platonic relationship, or it can speak specifically just to interpersonal relationships of any description, right? There's an idea of shared values, shared goals, you know, alignment in some way, union possibly, yes, but coming together and kind of running parallel, yeah, in the same direction. Now, in your present energy, you have the Ace of Swords, and this is the truth. It's clarity of thought, it's clarity of expression. It is, you know, blinding insight that comes to something, to you about a particular situation. And given that you have been conflicted and unhappy here in your recent past, it feels like in your present energy, you see it, you get it. That insight that you need to traverse, you know, this situation here, you know, the transformation from death to temperance to the healing of the situation, right, could well be indicated by this Ace of Swords. And I just heard stuck between a rock and a hard place. You have been stuck between a rock and a hard place. But something about this realization kind of frees you up in a way that you haven't been free before, right? Because there's a sense of a limitation of thinking, like you've been thinking in a circle for quite a long time, Scorpio, and now this Ace of Swords comes in and it breaks that cycle, it breaks that pattern, right? And you see how you can move outside of this circle now. You see how you can think outside of this circle and see it from an entirely different perspective. Now, the two clarifying cards that you got for the Ace of Swords were the Empress and this Hanged Man here. Now, this is interesting because not only are they two major arcana, but certainly the Hanged Man speaks to a new insight, like wisdom, a new way of seeing the world, right? There's something slightly uncomfortable about this here. He doesn't look particularly upset about it, but he has submitted to something that is potentially uncomfortable so that he might achieve a level of wisdom, right, about the world around him. He's literally seeing things from a different angle. And the Empress is fertility and abundance, but she's a bringing of new things into the world. Like, it's tremendous creative energy. It's Taurus and Pisces respectively, or Libra if you want to see it that way. But there's something quite dramatic here, Scorpio, as I'm looking at this, because what I'm looking at is the yellow sky behind the Empress, and then, you know, that halo of illumination around the Hanged Man, right? Those two things are drawing my eye really, really strongly. And it seems like there's an openness to receiving some kind of message that is it's the Rosas. They're doing screaming around down here in my village. Arresting miscreants, no doubt. There's some sort of wider universal truth here that seems to be hitting you right where you need it here, right? Kind of concentrating its force down to you. I mean, we can see this with the Ace of Swords, you know, that notion of something, some sort of higher wisdom, you know, a flash of brilliant insight coming down to a point, as with the sword. But it seems to be concentrated from up here, down here, to you. Well, they're coming back again now. They're lost, clearly. And it feels like whatever this insight is, and I don't think that this is coming to from somebody else. I don't think this is somebody saying something to you that you've never considered before. I feel like this is coming directly from you, and perhaps it is channeled from something higher than you. But this insight changes everything for you, Scorpio. I'm gonna get a couple of other cards for that. Like, I've been waiting for you to catch up with the other signs, Scorpio, because the other signs have all been going through some sort of, you know, fairly radical evolution and transformation this year. And you've felt stuck. You know, I've referenced before this feeling that I have, it kind of pinging backwards and forwards. Like, is this the answer? No. What about this over here? What about this over here? And it has seemed a lot like you have looked everywhere apart from inside you for the answers. The Hanged Man is a very passive card. It does not speak about anything outside of you. It's all, you know, purely internal. He's flipped himself upside down. He's looking at his situation from an entirely different perspective, and he is getting the answers. Nobody's coming and giving them to him, you know, not walking by the tree and dropping, you know, truth bombs in his ear. He's there, he's suspended, he's waiting for the answers that he holds to come to him, yeah, from the inside. Tell me about this Hanged Man, please. Ooh. We've got the Five of Wands. I just dropped the Hermit down there. Fascinating. I'm not going to take it because I dropped it, but this sense of the internal is coming out really, really strongly with you. The thing is with the Empress, you know, because she is often depicted as pregnant, she's literally birthing new things into the world. You know, we have a process that starts internally and then has a result in something external, right? The birth of the baby goes from the inside to the outside. It feels like this revelation, this insight, this epiphany that you have will enable you to make really spectacular changes in your external. Now about this Hanged Man, please. Whoa. Yeah. So, hello. We've got the Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck here, right? With, I should add, the Page of Swords underneath and the Temperance card underneath that and the Moon and Judgment. Holy shit, Scorpio, right? I associate Judgment with Scorpio. I don't really know why. I don't know if it's a Scorpio card or not strictly, but that association is there for me. But we've got the same cards in the same order there, Page of Swords and Temperance, right? One after the other. A change of thinking, a new way of thinking about things leads to healing for you and wisdom. I mean, we've got peacock feathers there on that card. The card that comes after it is the Moon. Now this is interesting because on the cards that have just come out on the table, before I even looked at the shadow cards here, we've got two cards that are speaking, well, that have a moon in the background, right? And neither of these cards in other decks have those moons there. This moon energy is really, really strong. Now, interestingly enough, we're having 2 full moons this month, right? There's one, I want to say today or tomorrow. I feel like it's possibly, by the time you see this, it might have already gone. It's like the 1st. It's the 1st of October, right? But there's one on the 31st as well, like Samhain or Halloween this year has a blue moon, 2nd full moon in the month, right? Here's all this moon imagery. This is a big, important month for you, Scorpio, because the moon talks about the internal space, right? For me, it talks about the subconscious, the non-conscious, whatever you want to call it. That bit of you that remains obscured from you for the most part, right? Unless you go looking for it, right? I feel like you are going looking for it, and I think that's this epiphany, this flash of inspiration, is what allows you to make that journey. You know, Scorpio have got such depth that I think on some levels it's actually kind of easy for you to swerve internal stuff, right? And certainly the Scorpios that I've known have really been able to compartmentalize very, very strongly. And in fact, to a degree, they've had to do that so that they don't get completely consumed by the emotions that they're experiencing, right? And this then leads to that kind of ping-ponging around, looking for any kind of external way of releasing, venting what is going on inside without actually ever telling anybody about it or looking at it themselves, right? Now, these cards that have come out here are really, really interesting, because what we've got here is the 5 of Wands, the 8 of Swords, and the 3 of Wands. These 2 have got the moons on, right? So this, for me here, is internal conflict. This, for me here, is the ways in which you are limiting yourself, right? By the ways that you've been thinking and stuff like that. It feels like you get to the root of your own internal conflict this month. You get to the root of the ways in which you keep yourself trapped in some way, right? Because you go looking for them. Now with this 3 of Wands here, this feels like a liberation from this energy, right? The conflict, the restriction, the mental anguish for you in a lot of ways, Scorpio. Going within allows you to kind of go without in a way that you haven't been able to do before, or the way that you have been doing it has been kind of, I don't want to say a waste of effort, but certainly an aspect of that is relevant here. You know, you've expended a lot of effort on looking for all the answers anywhere but where they actually reside, because where they reside is you. And it feels like there are some difficult issues coming up for you to deal with. Now, I mentioned before that Mercury was in Scorpio, and that Mercury retrograde was due, I think we're probably in the shadow period now. It's in the next couple of weeks or so. The energy of the retrograde is designed for reflection. It is tying up loose ends. It is going within. It's kind of, you know, looking inside. I actually love Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. It suits me really, really well. It's much, much better than in Cancer or Pisces, as it has been this year. Like, it's wiped me out. But Scorpio, I understand. And it's pivotal for you, because what happens is then you are able to turn your energy outward in a way that is focused, in a way that is efficient, and in a way that is actually going to achieve results, because you haven't been achieving results this year, Scorpio. Like, everything, you've just seemed to have hit a brick wall. Every time you've run in a particular direction, you've just come up against something, you know, over and over and over, again and again and again, and you've not given up. Like, at no point have you given up. You've just kept going. Like, your stamina has been incredible, but it's Scorpio, a lot of it has been to escape, you know. And the fuck, I just noticed even the Ace of Swords that was at the bottom there, underneath these cards, even that Ace of Swords has got a moon on as well, right? Your revelations are coming from within. You've been running, and I think you're running out of places to run, and now it's time to stop, completely to stop, and to look at what it is that you have been avoiding for such a long time, because Scorpio, there is so much gold in there. I think so much gold. Now, what's coming towards you is the Three of Cups in reverse, which I find slightly baffling, the Eight of Wands in reverse, and the Nine of Pentacles. Now, the Three of Cups in reverse, the Three of Cups in the upright talks about, you know, emotional connections. It talks about emotional support networks to me. You know, you've got all these people kind of looking after each other. Obviously, in a standard depiction that you get on the Rider-Waite, it's three women and they're, you know, holding up their glasses and whatnot. But it's come up in the reverse for you. So this is, again, not about kind of going outside of you. It's not about getting everybody's opinion and then picking the one that most suits your need not to go within for you this month. You could see it being actually a withdrawal of what you thought was an emotional safety net around you. I see it disappearing slightly. And a lack of willingness on other people's part to engage with you. Now, you could take that as, you know, something that would be negative, but actually I don't really feel like that is the case here. I've just noticed the Eight of Wands is the wrong way around in the deck here too. It's not people withdrawing because they don't care. It's everyone playing their part exactly as they are supposed to around you at this time. And like, God knows, there is enough fucking shit going on in the world at the moment that everybody is distracted and everybody has, you know, their own stuff to deal with. But it feels like it's almost like the universe tactically withdrawing what you have been relying on for all of this time in order to make you stand on your own and look inside. Yeah, the fucking Eight of Wands has came out again. I'm just going to take that as validation of what I'm saying here, but the two cards that have come out to clarify there are Justice and the Three of Swords. Now that's really, really interesting. Not only are we in Libra season now at the moment, right? We'll be moving into Scorpio season shortly, but not yet. But Justice talks about, you know, putting things right. It talks about balance and the restoration of balance in you. You have been so imbalanced because you are so fucking hurt and so fucking wounded, Scorpio. But you've relied on your exoskeleton to keep you safe, right? To keep you protected. The thing is, that's cut you off. Right? It's actually cut you off from the very thing that you crave, which is connection, right? And you're now at a point where the restoration of balance that needs to occur is that understanding of you, right? Not running from you anymore, you not running from you, you not casting your eye outside of yourself at all, you know, not playing games with anyone, not playing games with yourself, more importantly, and really addressing the fundamental nature of what it is that has been torturing your soul for such a very long time. Because you've tried running away from it, Scorpio, and actually it's just not getting any better, it's getting worse. And certainly this year has been really, really strongly pointing towards the fact that it is getting worse, and it's kind of getting to a point where it cannot continue anymore, right? Was the moon again. Tried to jump there. Right, we don't want that deck. We want a different deck. Let's give me a different deck. I'm going to go for the Marigold. Since we seem to be wandering around in the dark here together, Scorpio. Two of Cups. Two of Cups and the Five of Cups. Well, fuck Scorpio, if this is not exactly what I've just been saying for the last few minutes. We've got the Page of Swords there at the bottom of the deck, right? This is more changing the way that you think about the fucking Eight of Wands underneath there, right? Right now. Justice and the Three of Swords, clarified by the Two of Cups and the Five of Cups. You are so wounded, right? Something at some point in your life has wounded you to such an incredible point, right, that you have suffered for your entire life afterwards, and actually your raison d'etre, you know, what you have structured your entire life around is the avoidance of this, right? You don't ever want to be in that position ever again, and it's quite possible that you have made decisions that have hurt you a bit and probably hurt people a lot, right? Other people a lot, in order to keep you safe, right? That's what you've been doing. You can't run from this anymore, Scorpio. Like the pressure is building, and the way that you vent this is by turning around and having a look and seeing what is going on in there, right? Bring some daylight to it. I know that you heard. Right? I know that you heard. It's a thing. But like, I've been harping on about this all year to you, Scorpio. Like, there's nothing here that is new information. Like, we've been talking about this literally for 9, 10, 11, probably fucking 12 months now, actually. But the pressure inside your head is building now to the point where if you do not release it, your mind is going to explode, right? Now, I've been saying, I actually literally just said in the members live stream that I did a couple of weeks ago, that I've been kind of watching Scorpio with a bit of a raised eyebrow, trying to work out what it was that you were doing all of this year. Because where everybody else seemed to be evolving and leaping up and raising their vibration, you know, it was a ripple effect that started with the fixed signs, 3 of the fixed signs, and then rippled out amongst the cardinal and immutable signs. Scorpio seemed to resolutely stay where it was, like, no thank you, I'm busy scuttling around from here to here to here to here, you know? And I said in the live stream a couple of weeks ago, I think Scorpio is going to be the sign that surprises the shit out of us, because you are the sign that has the 3 different evolutions. That's more than any other sign. You go from Scorpio, Scorpion, to Eagle, to Phoenix, right? No other sign has that level of evolution. You do, because you have the capacity to do that, but you need to transmute what is this pain into something beautiful, and you have the capacity to do it, but don't think it's not going to cost you in some way. It is going to hurt, but what is lying on the other side of this for you is worth so much more, you know? I don't think that you will ever forget the pain, but you will learn that it is possible to be happy. And for a Scorpio, I can't imagine, I just cannot imagine that level of peaceful, contented happiness as things stand at the moment, because you're all nursing these difficult feelings and this pain avoidance, all of this kind of thing. Right, I'm going to stop ranting now. I'm going to go over to Vimeo. If this has made any sense to you whatsoever, feel free to come and join me over there. There's a link down in the description box. I mean, you're here, Scorpio. Like, you always show up in your own reading. You're like Leo, right? Always here. You're showing up and you're ready for action. It's time to start showing up for yourself now. Don't just show up for your reading, show up for yourself. Right, I'm going to stop ranting anyway. I love you all. I will see you very soon.